Welcome to the latest episode of Claus Corner. On today's show, you get two great guests for the low price of one. Matt Stevens is a writer, actor, and editor. His acting credits include Super Duper Alien Hunters, Super Duper High Squad, and many, many, many more. My other guest, Rayah and Matt, is a writer, director, and actress. Her acting credits include Super Duper Alien Hunters, Re-Entry, Dracula, and many, many, many more. I first met them when I was an actor in a 48-hour film project that they were making. What impressed me most was their passion and knowledge of film and how quickly they can write, direct, act, and edit quality work in such a short time. I had the pleasure of working with them a second time and look forward to many more collaborations in the future. So without further ado, please welcome two of the most talented and creative people I ever had the pleasure of knowing. Power couple Matt Stevens and Rayah and Matt to the Claus Corner. Matt, Rayah, how the hell are you?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Thank you very much for the kind words. We really enjoyed working with you both times as well, and we're looking forward to it again in the future.
Oh my God, I had so much fun. First, we were introduced from a mutual friend. It was Nathan Donahue.
Yes.
He's I guess what I mean. He does many things, but I met him when he was filming a movie, and this was another one from another friend of mine, and he goes, "Rich, you got to meet two of my friends, Matt and Rayah. They're great. They're doing a 48-hour film project, and you'd be perfect for them." And then we did Frights, Horus was the name of the project. I loved it. I had so much fun, and as I mentioned in the intro, what I love is how creative you two are. And in such a short time, because for people who don't know, let's explain what a 48-hour film project is.
So the 48-hour film project, you have 48 hours to make a film start to finish. That's writing it, shooting it, editing it, scoring, and submitting it. So you go to a kickoff event the Friday night of the weekend. You find out, you draw a genre out of the hat or a bingo ball or however they decide to do it. And you actually draw two genres. You can either choose one of them or combine the two genres that you get. And then you go. And by 7:30 Sunday, you have to have your completed 4 to 7 minute movie done. So whatever you have at that point in time is the movie you get.
And it's important to understand that this is a competition, and there's, 40 teams, and you really don't know what kind of movie you're going to be making until Friday night at 7:30 when you pull a genre or two and choose between one or combine out of the hat. So all you can do is prep as best as you can, and then make that movie in those 48 hours. But I met Nathan when I did this student film at Connecticut School of Broadcasting called Script, that I was actually in with him. Mm-hmm. And then obviously I started following him on Instagram. You know how you do. You become friends with people on social media. Yep. And I noticed what a fantastic photographer he is. Mm-hmm. And so when we did Frights Horus, which was summer of 23.
Yes.
I asked him to be the cinematographer, and he was totally on board. Thank goodness. But then he was like, "Oh, listen, I was on this film set or whatever, and I met this guy, and he wants to, be in your movie." And we were like, "Okay."
Yeah. It was that easy. I love it. It was funny because for that one, a friend of mine who's also friends with Nathan, I went down there and I was just it was a horror movie. So he goes, "Rich, you want to be killed?" I'm like, "Of course I do." So they were going to just choke me. So then I went there and I was just making jokes and improvising. He goes, "All right, we got to add this scene. We got to add this scene." So they made like 3 or 4 scenes around different things I was saying. And that's when I started talking to Nathan. He goes, "Oh my God, Rich, you're hilarious. You got to meet Matt and Rayah." So I love and you know what I love about you two, and I was going to mention this later, is how supportive you are of everybody else. I mean, even very recently, what I say is, I saw on Facebook, Rayah's like, anybody who looking for somebody who wants to be in a movie, this and that, and so I'm like, I wasn't sure if you were doing something tonight. I'm like, is the interview still on? I'm like, oh no, I'm just helping somebody else out. So I love
Right.
the
Well,
fact
yeah,
that
it's one that we're actually both in. We have some small roles, but we're not shooting today. But the director asked if if I could find somebody, might be short a person. I don't know all the details, but he
yeah.
asked if I could help. So I said, all right, I'll put out the word just now.
For who?
Yeah, just a little bit ago. Ubon.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I don't know if anybody wanted to do it or not, but in any case, yeah, I just try to help
She's
out.
good like that.
Yeah. Well, no, both for you. When we're going to talk about another 48-hour film fest that I was a part of called Publicist League, which I loved, and everybody's got to watch this. But even when I went to the premiere of it at the Bijou Theater in Bridgeport at the beginning of August, and the first thing both of you said, it's like, I want to say, all these great films, so many great filmmakers. I mean, you are so supportive. There's so much competition out there, and so many backstabbers. Like, I mean, I've done radio. I was in bands. I did stand-up comedy, and all these different things I was in. You still obviously get good and bad people, but there were so many people that were just in it for themselves. Always would backstab you in a second. I love the fact meeting two talented, great people like you two that are like, you know what? There's enough room for everybody to make a good movie. So it's not like I'm better than you. We're gonna destroy you. Like, you know what? Congratulations. I'm glad you won. I love that.
Yeah, not at all. But in fact, we like to try to work with people that we admire and we see their stuff and we think it's great. And then, because we both can work behind the scenes or in front of the camera. So however we, can collaborate and work with more people, it's always great. And my good friend Marsha Karp always likes to say, there's plenty of room at the top. So there's no reason to try to keep it to yourself.
All right.
And beyond that, my goal in anything I do, whether it's a 48-hour film project or student film, or I do a lot of theater, whatever the case may be, my singular goal on anything that I do is always to, when it's over, should anyone that I worked with be asked, would you work with Matt Stevens again? That their answer be yes, I would love to. He was a delight. That's it. That's my only goal, and we're big collaborators, so we're big fans of collaboration.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And I will say from firsthand experience, I've worked on 2 different projects with you. The set is so much fun. You're always open to suggestion. You're always open to trying different things. Oh, I'll try it this way. So I highly recommend, if you ever have a chance to work with Rayah and Matt, do it immediately because you will not be disappointed. So I agree. So you, I want to.
A lot of that is just us covering for the fact that we're lost at sea and we don't know what the hell we're doing.
And we're like, what are we gonna do? If somebody says, like, hey, we should do this, and we're like,
that's such a good idea.
That's what we're gonna do.
I was gonna say that.
Well, all right. I'm glad you brought that up. So I want to talk about that because we mentioned, we'll talk about some of the other theater work you did and everything else too. But for the 48-hour film project, you get the genre, and so what happens then? Do you the 2 of you just brainstorm all these different ideas, because you can't think of it ahead of time? You can't say, you know what? Well, let's get this ready for Friday, because you don't know what you're going to be doing until Friday night, 7:30. So what happens after you get the pick?
So we usually, it depends on a couple of things. We have done some where we've had a writer, and in which case we do a brainstorm session with the writer, usually over the phone. It's in most of the ones that we've done so far, it's just Matt and me that go to the kickoff. Yeah. So we're just there. They don't want like millions of people there for that. That's just to kind of get the information, get the ball rolling. So a couple of people from the team is plenty for that. So we get the genre, and we get the 3 elements that we will need to have in the film, which is a line of dialogue, a character, and a prop. And those 3 things have to be in all of the movies. Everyone that's making a movie for the competition has those 3 things. And then we each have our own genre that we have drawn, and we have to use one of those. So yes, we sit down and we brainstorm how we can use these things, and we put it together with whatever location we might have lined up, who we have for our cast, whether whether I'm going to stay behind the camera or also be on camera for any of it. And so do you want to talk about some of the brainstorming for the Publicist League, how that one?
Well, first of
That
all,
was
you know,
kind of
in most movies, you get the script and then you find the location that matches what's been written down in the script. But for the 48, it's kind of backwards.
Yeah.
Your best bet is to secure a location first. So, for example, we did both Providence, Rhode Island 48-hour film project in June, and then New Haven 48-hour film project in July. Both times we used the Hebron Library, the Douglas Library in Hebron, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
That was the location that we had secured. Thank you, Drusilla. So that automatically, it's definitely a huge factor once you pick your genre. So, for example, when we pulled, well, I had her pull the genre at New Haven and Providence actually, but she pulls it out, and what we got was superhero movie or road movie. And we knew we were going to be shooting in the downstairs offices of Hebron Library, or Douglas Library in Hebron. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like road movie was out. So now the question became, how do we write a superhero movie that takes place like in an office? How do you do that, right? So we went to, what we do is we go to dinner and we just sit there and brainstorm. We have a notebook and, we bounce ideas back and forth. Originally it started off with HR Man. He was going to be the superhero, and then it became this thing of like, well, what if it was a bunch of characters like that? PTO girl and the compliance kid and stuff. And this is like an hour and a half, 2 hours of brainstorming. And then
we have 2 pages. And then I said, well, why don't we had 2 different ideas. So let's start listing how the movie would go if we did it this way, and how the movie would go if we did it that way.
Mm-hmm. And because it had happened recently, the parodying the Coldplay Kiss Cam scandal was always sort of circling around there.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I said, wait, so, well, I'll tell you what do they do in this building? And we decided that it was a PR firm for superheroes. And like we just chucked everything else.
I said, all right, turn the page. Yeah. We're going to start a new
All
page.
That's over. And then the scandal was the Kiss Cam thing. And once we had gotten to that point, it kind of wrote itself.
Yeah, once he had turned the page and we started that, I said, well, what's the problem? What's the problem that they have to solve? And then somewhere in there, the Kiss Cam thing came up again. And we're like, that's it. That's the problem. Okay, the problem is there's this Kiss Cam thing that happens. So now we had a reason for them to be in the location that we already had. We had a problem for them to solve. We just had to figure out who all the people were that were doing it.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that things didn't come out during the day. Like so the name of the character that had to be in your movie was Nicholas or Nicola Prentice. And a tailor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Anthony who started doing the Nicola Prentice.
I love that. Yeah.
And it kills. And it was never part of the original thing. Or when I wrote all those superhero names up on the board, like Adequate Man and Dr. Bad Guy, that got a huge laugh from the audience. And I just written that stuff on there, and it happened to be in one of our shots. So I am a really big believer in a movie gets written 3 times. Mm-hmm. When you write the script, on the day you shoot, and when you edit. You know what you start off with is, and in everything I've ever done, everything I've ever created, there's always like, this part here, nailed it, that's perfect, exactly how I saw it. This part here, if I had to do it again, I would do it differently. So,
and then there's also the things that come up during shooting, you know, like the Nicola Prentice back and forth, and other ideas. I think actors tend to have really good instincts, and so I love to let as a director, I love to let the actors play, and we're on a bit of a
within
time
reason.
crunch. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, within reason, but actors sometimes come up with a new way of thinking of something that we
That
had
you
worked
never
out,
would have even.
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's great.
That's
That's how it
brilliant.
is now, because you just
In
did
fact,
that.
my favorite line from the movie is actually yours, Rich.
Which one?
It's when you're in the boardroom right before Ethan comes in with the paperwork, and it's real low and subtle, but you're like, still on hold. That's my favorite line in the whole movie. Still on hold.
Well, thank you. And you know what's funny? Speaking of things coming up at the last minute, and you mentioned Anthony, who filmed it. I love his part without giving anything away. You got to watch it. But that was a last minute thing too, because the person that you wanted was like, "Nah, I'm a little shy. I don't want to be on camera." And then you had to think of something very quickly, and you're like, "Anthony," and I love that part.
Well, there's a whole story behind that, actually.
Okay.
We after the kickoff, we went to Vernon Diner, as we do.
Yep.
And we got omelets, and we had our notebook out, and we're writing, and we're bouncing these ideas off, and that was. I don't know if we figured out I think we had figured out the PR firm aspect of it. But this girl who worked at Vernon Diner, not our waitress, comes over, and she's like, "Oh, hey, what are you guys writing?" So we explained the whole thing to her, and she was like, "Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun." And she had taken a screenwriting class, and we were like, "Well, look, we're shooting at Hebron Library tomorrow.
Can you be there?
Be there at 9:00, when she wasn't there, and she's definitely. So the idea was that she was going to play the superhero who comes in at the end and
Saves the day.
kind of saves the day.
Yeah.
And then like when she, she wasn't there.
Oh, this happened.
No.
No hard feelings, because
No,
this
none at
is
all.
what
None-
happens
none
when
at
you do
all.
something like
None at
this.
all.
Not
I
exactly.
knew she was probably not going to come.
We were like, she's not coming.
It's fine. It was a last minute on the fly thing. We
took a
would have
chance.
been happy to have her, but she couldn't make it.
Yeah.
But that left us with a bit of a dilemma, which was who's going to play this
How are we going to do this?
superhero who comes in at the end. So we asked, what's her name?
Well, we asked Elliot.
We asked Elliot if she would be willing to do it, and
She didn't really want to.
I mean, it was like she would rather a hole open up in the earth and swallow her.
Yes, that part I saw, and I agree with you 100%. That she
we're not. I mean,
do it if you
we're not
need me
trying
to, but you really don't want to.
if you don't want to do it, we'll figure something out. And that's when it was like, well, Anthony.
Yeah.
And he
And we
saved
love
the
trying
day.
to get him into the movies whenever we can anyway. So it was like, oh, of course we're putting Anthony.
In fact,
in
I
here.
met Anthony L. Dawkins, a very nice, very talented man. I met him when I did two Connecticut School of Broadcasting student films. One's called Our Friend Mr. Darby, and I shot that one weekend, and then the following weekend the other way around. I shot this movie called Penny, and then I shot Our Friend Mr. Darby. And Anthony was on both of those, and he's actually the one guy who's in all of those student films from CSB. Somehow he wound up being
He got some little,
and he made his own movie, which is a great movie too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I he worked on the movie that you were in, right?
Yeah, and he's in it.
And then that's how we got him for the 48.
Yeah, because I started talking to him when working on the student film, and said, if you're interested in working with us on one, we'd love to have you.
We're
Let
interested
me
in
know.
working with
So
you.
message back and forth, and there he was.
But on top of that, it was suddenly like he had to play this character, and he actually like has a character that he's playing.
Yeah.
And it's great. So, all right, good to meet you. Good to meet you. It's hilarious.
Down the hallway to the left.
He just did that, So we got really lucky. We got really, really lucky with all that stuff.
Yep. Well, speaking of CSB, and you said he does a lot of films there, I want to talk about something that I think you did recently with him. It was called Love Child. Is that correct? I think Matt was part of it. Was that a film? I saw it.
That was his, that's his movie. That's
Anthony's?
Anthony's movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And is that the
So-
one to start A+ Hollywood? Because I saw something where.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And she's
Yes, and
awesome
in
in
that.
it.
She's really funny.
She's
really
so
great.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So neither of us worked on that one, but that was Anthony's
That was
film.
Anthony's film that he directed. Yes.
Okay, so I think I saw you two going back and forth on Facebook, and I heard you actually mention A+, and I've known her for years because I said I did comedy back in 2013, 2000 through 2017, and I did tons of shows where she is great. I never saw her act, but I can definitely picture her being very good at it.
Oh, you got to see this movie. She's hilarious. She's fantastic.
All right, I got to check it out. So that's really cool because when I went to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which was 1991, they didn't even have a film department. All they had, I went to
I went 2017. They didn't have what they have now.
Yeah, because I stopped in there one time and I was like, wow, this is completely different. I mean, you probably did the same thing. Was it Channel 20 in Waterbury? And we taped a commercial there. We got a chance to see what it's like to be behind the camera, in front of the camera. But other than that, we had the reel-to-reel for radio, and that was about it. So I love the fact that they actually have a film department there as well. And they're making films, student films.
Yeah, it's a great group of people.
And Bob Dio, you know Bob Dio?
The name sounds familiar. I don't know if
He's basically like he's their teacher, and he does a fantastic job producing these movies.
And where do those movies air?
Well, there was a screening at CSB a couple weeks back, and I actually have the links to the ones I'm in on YouTube.
Okay.
If you want to check them out, I'll be happy to send them to you.
No, please do. And we'll put the link on this show too, so everybody can check them out. And I want to talk about the production company that you are a part of. But before I do that, are you a fan of Robert Rodriguez?
Oh,
Who?
absolutely.
Exactly. That's what I thought. The reason I bring him up is very recently I reread Rebel Without a Crew. It's all about making El Mariachi. And I don't know if you read that book, but he says
I've not read it. I would love to.
it's a great book, but he brought up exactly what you said. He makes movies around his location. He'll say, you know what? I have a room right here. I can make a movie starring this, putting this part in here. And so when he first started, he would do that. And then he actually made another movie with his son, but with two sons. And they did the same thing, just like they did with the same budget for El Mariachi. And they had the location and they said, all right, we got to make the movie with what we have here. And that.
Oh, that's great. Because, yeah, I remember El Mariachi. When it first came out, I was in college and they had a special screening. I went to the University of Minnesota and they had a special screening on campus. And I went to see it. And it made a huge impact on me. And really, I had been starting to get into theater and theater acting. And I've, continued to do that. But seeing El Mariachi was kind of what really made me think, oh, maybe I could make movies too, and then learning his whole story about making that and not having money, which that fit right in with my situation. So it was very inspiring and to me. So I'm gonna definitely check out the book.
It's great. You two would love it. And it's funny because he didn't even want that movie to be shown. That was just supposed to be a practice movie, but it turned out so well that all these people were trying to buy it. He wanted the Spanish rights for that. And then these big companies, and I guess it's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the lowest budget making the most money. Because it was made for what, I think
Awesome.
$10,000, something like that, maybe even less. And
Kevin, I think.
yeah, so it got picked up. So I love hearing stories like that, and you two, especially being the creative team that you are and what you do. You two.
Well, one of the things I always say is that the camera doesn't make the movie. The
Yep.
people make the movie.
Exactly.
And so.
Well, speaking of that, what is Libra Tiger Pictures?
Well, Libra Tiger Pictures is my production company
Mm-hmm.
that was started in 2005 with this little movie I made called Name in Vain. But I'm a Libra and I was born in the year of the tiger. In fact, recently I've been thinking about dropping the pictures and just going with Libra tiger. But it's the production company that I've had, and I have a lot of stuff on YouTube that I've made under that banner. And then when Rayah and I met and we started making our own stuff, it just stayed Libra Tiger Pictures.
Yeah. Well, I looked up the definition of it, and I love this. And I'm going to read it. A Libra tiger refers to a person who possesses the traits of both the Western zodiac sign Libra and the Chinese zodiac sign Tiger. This combination merges Libra's focus on balance, beauty, and fairness with the tiger's powerful, courageous, and confident nature, creating a personality that is thoughtful and diplomatic, yet strong and adventurous. So that describes you two perfectly.
Freaking to
Sounds
a
pretty
T.
good.
To a T.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
You got to keep that. Don't get rid of that. Libra tiger. It is.
Yeah, it's always been just I don't know. In fact, it's been around. It's been Libra Tiger Pictures for 20 years now. So,
yep, and it's definitely perfect for you two. I want to go.
You know what I wanted to say before about the other thing.
Yeah.
There was a New Year's Day. I think it was 2021, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Day 2021 or 2022, where we watched El Mariachi, Desperado, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico in one sitting.
Wow.
Go all three movies
Right in a row.
on a New Year's Day. I think it was 2021, wasn't it?
That is a great day. I
mean, it was a commitment. we did it, and it's I had never seen El Mariachi.
Mm-hmm.
And like Rayah just said, I feel like a lot of the movies that we see, like especially at the 48, are like the production value is amazing, so good. They had a team of writers and script supervisor and lighting and all that stuff. But the story's not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough to get a full story told and shot and everything in the 48 hours.
Yeah.
So you do find that sometimes some elements just, there might be a great idea, and then the entire movie is the great idea, and it, without there really being a story arc or something like that. And maybe it's beautiful, the photography and the costumes, but some part of it is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really difficult to try to get everything you need, a story and the costumes and the actors and the sets and the lights and the everything in there. In 48 hours. And
that's what I was going to say earlier too, is that the reason why the 48-hour film project even exists is because technology caught up.
Mm-hmm.
You can do like, and we've done a couple before, a 24-hour play where everybody gets together on Friday night, and it's basically the same thing. They break up into teams, maybe there's some required elements. The writers go off and write. The next day, you rehearse all day, and then you put the show up that night, and then it's over.
Yeah.
With the 48-hour film project, you can, like, here's what we made, and you can watch it. We have like six or seven under our belts right now.
Yeah.
For good or for, whether they're the greatest thing ever or not, it obviously is, up to opinion, but it still exists. It's not like, oh yeah, that fun night we had or that fun day we had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. And speaking of good, Publicist League was up for Best Picture and Audience Choice Awards. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We didn't win, but the fact that you were nominated for both, because I was there for the premiere at the, like I mentioned, Bijou Theater, and the audience laughed at all the right parts. They clapped. I loved it. It was so
really
much fun.
Was an amazingly awesome reaction from the audience.
Yeah.
Yes,
I didn't seal the deal, obviously, but first of all, let me just say this: the first 48 hour film project I did was in 2012, and we didn't make our movie.
Yep.
We didn't finish it. It was a disaster. So the following year in 2013, I did my own under Libra Tiger Pictures.
Yeah.
And that one was called The Client List, and we got Mistaken Identity, and it's a great little movie, and we had a lot of fun making it. And then Rayah was in one, and then we did our first one together, which was Burnside, which was a really great movie, and that's the one where Jacques Lamar wrote for us, and it's great. It's a great movie, but nothing, it was just like, okay, cool. And then we did Frights, Horus.
I don't know what you meant by that, but I don't think it's nothing. I think it's pretty good.
No, I'm saying we didn't.
Oh, we didn't.
There was
we didn't
no
win anything.
nominations or
we
anything
didn't get
like
any
that. It
awards
just
for
kind of
No.
sailed through.
No.
But then when we did Frights, Horus, we won best film title and best use of the line.
Yeah.
And then when we did Overdue, we won best use of the prop. And then the Publicist League was nominated for best film and for audience choice. So even though we didn't win either one of those, I feel like, we're going in the right direction, even if I know it's a cliche, but New Haven, both Providence and New Haven had a lot of just amazing talent, amazing filmmakers telling amazing stories.
In fact, they were starting.
And
they were
mentioned
playing,
along with them.
Yeah, they were playing some of the other movies that were up for best film, and after the third one, I'm like,
we turned to each other. We're like,
are we supposed to be here?
Why did we even get nominated? I mean, these movies are like blowaway, man.
They're really good. So we're very happy.
Which
that
is
we
not
were
to say I
included.
wasn't disappointed that we didn't win anything.
Would have been nice.
I was dying.
Yeah. No, you know what? Like you said, you're heading in the right direction. You didn't win anything the first. You couldn't even finish the film the first time, and then you got one award, then you got another one, then you get nominated. So it's coming soon. It's coming soon.
Well, I mean, for your listeners or watchers or whatever, we've got another one coming up. It's Providence again. It's the 48-hour horror film project, which is where all of the movies are horror movies, but there's subgenres like slasher, psychological thriller, UFO abduction, found footage, and
I cannot wait.
Sadiq, who won Best Actor for Providence, is going to be in our movie, and Laura Fenney, who won Best Film and Best Director, is writing.
Oh wow!
So
again, it's like a collaborative thing where we're meeting these people that are great talent, and then it's like, well, why don't we combine efforts here and work together?
Yep. See, that's what I love. The ego does not get in the way. It's like it's better like the.
We only have 48 hours.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Right.
No, but again, like I was going to say, is that the reason why that's even possible now is because technology. I mean, anyone can make a movie. You can make video with your phone, use a simple free editing tool, and you can make a movie. So the reason why the 48-hour film project even exists is because that technology is so widely available. I mean, you couldn't do a 48-hour film project, in the 70s or something like that.
No, not at all. Well, I remember it was funny back in 1999 when Blair Witch came out. Everybody with a camcorder. I'm going to be the next Spielberg. Everybody was making movies, which I love because that just inspired everybody to want to go out and make their own movie. But now, as you mentioned, you can make a movie on your cell phone if you really want to, and the technology is there. But it goes back to what we talked about before. You can make it look good, but you got to have some content behind it. You have the good story, some good acting, and that's where you two come in. Because I've seen several. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I've seen several. I've seen Overdue. I've obviously Frights, Horus, Publicist League. And like I said, each one gets better and better and better. It's funnier. The story is good. It's just, I cannot wait to see the horror because I am a huge horror fan, and I cannot wait. Not only do I get to be a part of it, but I can't wait to see the collaboration and what you're going to do with it.
We're excited. I think we're nervous. There's a certain sense.
We're still trying to work out some of the as much as we can
Finer
beforehand,
details.
trying to find certain locations and, I mean, not even certain locations, any locations. We don't know what we're going to need. So if there's,
If anybody has a
yes, if you
bead
have any
on a cool
a
location,
house,
you
can be an
know,
old house, can be a new house, can be a creepy house, doesn't have to be a creepy house. We can make it creepy.
It's what you do best.
but like for Frights Horus,
Yeah.
you know, I am friends with Dina, who is the president of the board of the Granite Theater in Westerly, Rhode Island.
Mhm.
And that weekend we shot, that Saturday we shot, that was the one weekend where they didn't have anything going on that weekend.
Wow.
So we got this like amazing theater space to make our movie. Locations it's tough, it's tough. But I feel like the cooler the location, probably the better the movie. When we did Burnside, which I think was 2021, the character was an astronomer. Well, of course, one of the teams, the director's friend's father was an astronomer at the university. So the movie opens with this shot of like this giant radio telescope. It's like, we can't compete.
Yeah. I would say, very recently I was speaking with Nathan and we were talking about Frights Horus. He goes, thank God I did not have to edit that, because for people who didn't see it yet, it was a film. It was all pictures. So Nathan took probably 1,000 pictures at least. I mean, he was
over 5,000 photos.
Okay, so yeah, 5,000.
Yeah.
And in fact,
It was right, or just under, right around 5,000 photos.
Yeah. So when I saw the finished product, I'm like, how the hell did they go through all of that in 48 hours? And when Nathan said, thank God all I had to do was take the pictures, my job was easy.
Well, for a little context, for those who don't know, there's this old 1960, I think 2 or 3 French film called La Jetée. It's about a half an hour. It is what the Terry Gilliam 12 Monkeys with Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt movie is based on.
Mhm.
And the subsequent television show, which if you've never watched the show, I highly recommend it. It's one of the greatest TV shows ever put to the medium. But the original source material, La Jetée, that French film, it was told in black and white photos with like voiceover. So, and also we're big fans of that movie Carnival of Souls. So those were the inspirations for Frights Horus. And we went into it knowing this is what we're gonna do. Whereas,
well, not necessarily.
Well, we knew we were going to do that style. We
were looking for something where we could do that style, but then when we drew period piece,
true.
That's when we were like, this is the one where we can do this thing that we want to do.
I mean, I would have to say probably every time it's like just certain elements come together in such a way that that's why it's so much fun.
Yeah.
That's why the 48-hour film project is so much fun.
But we're always discussing different things that we would like to do, or different types of, shots, or different types of movies.
Different types of storytelling.
Yeah. So when something comes up and we get a certain genre, or we get a location or something, we start thinking like, oh, we can do that thing. We can do that thing that we were talking about.
Dude, when she pulled the genre for New Haven, the superhero / road movie, the look on her face was like, we're screwed.
What are we gonna do?
Screwed.
I was looking at the thing and I'm reading superhero, and I'm looking at the other piece of paper that Lorna still had in her hand. Like, can I switch these really fast with nobody noticing? I realized that wouldn't work. So
and then we wound up creating, one of our best pieces in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I love it.
He said it too. He was like, I'm gonna give you a few minutes, and then 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I have an idea.
She's just already like, before we were back to our table, she was like, HR man.
I know. Like I said, that's what impresses me the most about you two, is like you're always thinking, and the stuff you come up with in such a short time is impressive. And what also impressed me too is I wanted to mention this because you mentioned what Frights Horus was based on, and I mentioned it in the intro. Your knowledge of film is phenomenal. Like a couple times, I can't remember what you were saying, like I have this idea for a shot. It's almost like that movie. Remember that scene? I could tell that when you two are watching movies, you just study film. I mean, you enjoy it while you're watching, but like you're looking at it like not as just a person who's enjoying like watching it for fun, but you're like studying the shots and how it was done. And am I correct with that?
I am kind of like that. He's better at remembering the specific actors and specific scenes and dialogue, and I tend to like try to watch for like technical things like camera angles and colors that are used. I love when I notice that a certain color scheme seems to be prominent in a movie. So yeah, there are certain things that both of us I think tend
I
to
mean,
watch
we
for.
love homage. We you know, I've always been a firm proponent that, you know, good artists borrow and great artists steal. And if something works, you know,
Oh yeah.
I mean, like for Overdue, you know, I knew I wanted to do a sort of Jack Nicholson in The Shining, chasing her through
The main.
the stacks.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't even know how we came up with it, but I knew we were gonna parody Michael Madsen torture scene from Reservoir Dogs. So we like that kind of stuff. We're very quotey. We quote stuff to each other all the time.
No, I agree. That's how I am too. When I'm talking, and it's so funny because where I work, a lot of younger kids work there, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about? I never understand what you're talking about." And I'm quoting these movies that I grew up watching and love, and they're like,
Yeah.
"What was that?" I said, You have no idea what you're missing. There's so many great things that I'm mentioning you should watch." But I love that because your knowledge of film makes your films even better. And like I said, or you said, it's like, I don't think you steal. I think that you take something and you're paying homage to, and then you make it your own. So you take a trope and then turn it into the Matt and Rayah show.
That's always the trick, is to take something, especially like with the horror one that's coming up. And I was just talking to a friend of mine today about it, how, so horror, we were just talking about how it's difficult to do well. And so I was talking to my friend about that. And I said, there are certain tropes that tend to happen in a lot of these horror movies, and that's fine. And we can still do that. We can still use these, the
Tried and
scares.
true.
Yeah. But making it fit in some unique way to the story that we're telling.
Yeah.
That's kind of the trick. And to find something new, find something that that's you telling the story that you came up with, or you're telling, or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you can tell stories. It's less about the story that you're telling, whether it's like, for example, have you seen that movie In a Violent Nature?
Yes.
Okay, it's Friday the 13th, right?
Yep, exactly.
It's Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But it's told in a unique voice, in a voice so unique that you don't even really go, oh, you don't stop ever and think they ripped this off.
Mm-hmm.
They told that story in their own unique voice. There's an episode of Black Mirror where it's also very much like a Crystal Lake situation, like a Jason type killer, but he's like digital and he keeps digitizing out. It's so weird. Yeah. But my point is that you can tell, like, just as an example, Avatar, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a metaphor for stealing the Native Americans' lands. It's a tried and true trope. What makes it unique, what makes it interesting, what makes it attractive is the voice that story is being told in.
Yeah. Another great example is it's making me think of this because I just saw Caught Stealing last night. I love Darren Aronofsky's movies, but the movie Mother is an allegory for the Bible. It's like I
absolutely love that movie.
Me too.
I absolutely love it. Once you finally figure out what's going on, but Also, you know, it's like I could see why people walked out of it.
Oh yeah, well, especially when what happened to the baby, they didn't realize that was supposed to be
Yeah,
Jesus being sacrificed. And like
right.
I heard people scream,
Well,
not scream,
I
but
did
swearing.
realize what it was supposed to be, and I didn't love it
I
when
love
I
that movie.
saw it.
Yeah,
But I know between talking to Matt about it, and I've read a couple other things recently, probably with Caught Stealing coming out, they may have referenced it, and I've read a few things that make me think that maybe I should give it another shot. So we'll
I think
see.
you should. The more I saw it twice, and the second time I definitely got more out of it. Because the first time I really wasn't. I mean, I read a little bit about before I went in, so I knew a little bit what it was about. But then the second time I saw so many more details, so many more things I missed. So I would give it another shot. I think you'll like it.
Okay, I will. I will.
You know, Rayah and I have the same birthday.
Oh,
It's October 14th. So it's kind of like our birthday happens, and then 2 weeks later is Halloween. So you know we're big fall babies, and we are big Halloween / horror fans.
that's me.
Like that's our time, you know.
Yeah, so I get really excited about horror movies, and now that I've started making some of them, I get really excited about trying to do that and bring that, some creepiness, some scary. I've always been good at creepy. I'm as an actor, so now I'm trying to bring that as a filmmaker. So
Yeah, she worked on the Essex Steam Train when it was like a haunted train.
Oh, really?
As
they did a
one of the
ghost train
actors.
one year. That was a
Ghost
lot of
Train.
fun. And I've done some other Mystic Seaport used to do a Halloween show, and I was part of that. So I've done a bunch of these themed Halloween acting, kind of sometimes historical, sometimes not. But yeah, I love to bring the creep factor.
I love the creep factor. And and whenever somebody asks me what's your favorite holiday, so without a doubt, Halloween. I love that time of year. So speaking of that, since I realize that we all like those types of movies, who are some of your favorite filmmakers growing up, and who are some of your current favorite filmmakers?
I mean, when I was 4 years old, 5 years old, my dad took me to see Star Wars, the first one. It was the first movie I ever saw. And it was not the summer it came out. It was the following summer when they re-released it in theaters, because I wasn't old enough. So that obviously colored my my likes and stuff. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, Lord of the Rings, MCU, you name it, I'm into it, you know. But when I was a sophomore in high school, I took a film class that Mrs. Miller taught.
Yeah.
And we watched movies like Eraserhead and Clockwork Orange, and it just really kind of like opened my mind to a lot of stuff. So I mean, Pulp Fiction came out on my 20th birthday. I saw it in the theater 7 times. So I would have to say Quentin Tarantino is probably one of my most favorite filmmakers. David Fincher. The Game. I've watched that movie dozens of times, and we're going to be watching it Friday night because it's like the 28th anniversary or something like that.
Isn't that long? I love that. You know what's so funny?
97, whatever that is.
97, yeah. Well, what's funny about that movie is, without giving anything away, when he jumps off and kills himself, people walked out thinking, this movie sucks, I can't believe it ended like that. And then I sat there and watched the movie as it continued. Like, ha ha! I was laughing. I love that movie.
It's one of my most favorite movies. It's even though, you know, the first time you watch it, you don't know what's going on, and the subsequent viewings you do. But for me, every single time I watch that movie, I get something new out of it that I never noticed before. And in my opinion, that's a hallmark of a really great film and a really great filmmaker.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Rayah?
In recent years, some of growing up, I saw movies. I mean, Star Wars was the first one I remember seeing. I know Snow White was actually the first one I saw, but I don't remember it. I didn't think about anything about the actors or the directors or the cameras or any of that. I just never thought about that. You just saw movies to see them. So it's not until recently that I really started paying attention to who's directing them. And we already talked a little bit about Robert Rodriguez, and I think he was one of the first influences for me when it comes to that. That was one of the first times where I really kind of thought about that. And in since then, I've also I love seeing things with by Greta Gerwig, and Sofia Coppola is actually also a really good director. I love her stuff. And so I don't know. I don't. For the most part, I don't have favorites in that way. I love all the movies. I mean, I don't love every movie I see, but I still love the fact that they're made, that they're out there, and that people are doing them, no matter whether I love the movie itself or not. So I have more of a general appreciation, I think.
But as far as a filmmaker goes, Rayah, she's a fantastic producer, number one. Okay. Those 48-hour film projects, there's a lot of paperwork involved. There's a lot of hustling and connections and emails, and she takes care of all of that. But beyond that, she had directed at Suffield Players for 15 years. So she's got
not everything, but I did do directing.
Rich, we went there one night to see a show. Okay. It was You Can't Take It With You, starring our friend Mark O'Donnell and some other people that she knew. But we go out to the concession stand, and they have an LCD television set that's cycling through pictures of previous productions. If Rayah wasn't in one of the pictures, it was something she directed.
Yep.
So it's just there's Rayah, there's Rayah. And then after the show, they're like, oh, come downstairs. And we come downstairs, and there's this, on the wall, there's this huge painting of Rayah.
Wow.
On the wall.
It was from a show.
It was from a show, but it's still there. And people are under her watchful gaze.
No, I love that. So that's a great segue, because for you, Rayah, do you prefer to be behind the camera or in front of the camera?
Oh, that's a good question. People ask me this a lot, whether whether it's camera or theater, whether I like acting or directing. And the only thing I can really say is that I'm glad I don't have to only choose one. So I think I'm finding a good voice for myself behind the camera, and I love the technical aspects of it. At the same time, I would love to do more on camera work as well. And I do love acting. So I feel like my direction right now, so to speak, tends to be more behind the camera.
Yeah.
But I don't want to lose either one to the other.
Well, I think a perfect example of that, and I just watched it the other night, and I loved it. It was a Super Duper Alien Hunters, where you were the assistant director, and you also had a cameo as the mother getting the ice cream for her daughter.
Yes.
You were the star of that movie.
You watched Super Duper Alien Hunters?
I did. I loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's great. You were like, we're gonna get them, and you were like, you worked with at the gym. What happened to boot camp? What happened to boot camp? It was hilarious. You know what really stood out in that movie was the music. I loved the music for that movie.
Yeah, I don't know who Mark got for that,
I don't know
actually,
either, but you know what? So Super Duper Heist Squad is the first one, and that's actually about to be 10 years old. And then Super Duper Alien Hunters was the follow-up.
Okay, well, I got to watch the first one then. I didn't realize that
They're
was
both on, they're both on Tubi. Yeah, okay. Watch the first one. I mean, not that you're gonna.
No, I'm going to
not know what's going on, but I just want to say this about the difference between that's a good example of the work that is put into making a film is worth it when it all starts to come together, but it is a lot of work. And I love doing.
Yeah.
but there's also the times where I do enjoy just acting, where I could just show up and somebody else has done all that stuff. Like there's this director, his name is U Bong. You know him?
I'm not sure.
Bong and Yang, is that his name?
Yeah,
He's
making a movie right now.
He's making a movie right now that we're both in, and we shot last Sunday.
Yeah.
We shot last Sunday. That was their first day of shooting, and we were on the set for a majority of the day. And it was nice to just show up and be like, okay, I'll be over here when you need me, and I don't have to move any lights or unpack a trunk, or I just have to focus on my thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
that being said, I love the filmmaking process, and I love telling the story through filmmaking too. It's just a lot more work, but it's also a lot more. It's also very satisfying when you start to put it together.
yeah. What I wanted to say is the chemistry between you and the other actors were great, and the acting was just seemed so natural. It was great. So, a question for you regarding that, because that was not 7 minutes; it was an hour and a half long. So, with that, how much rehearsal time did you get, and did you ad-lib a lot of the lines, or was it all scripted for us?
It was scripted.
Let me tell you something about Mark Foley, the director. Okay. A great guy. I love him. I would work with him anytime. But Mark was very like what I really enjoyed about Mark was this. He would let me do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
I could make any character choice. I could, I whatever I wanted to do was fair game. But you better say the exact words from the page.
Okay.
Yeah. He wrote the script, and he wrote it for how he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So the script was the script. And then the actors brought the characters and whatever nuance and that kind of thing that I guess I was one too, did to that. But yeah, it was definitely a scripted movie.
And I'm much better at ad-libbing physical action than I am at lines. Every time I try to ad-lib a line, it just falls flat. But when I do physical stuff, it always seems to work. So
yeah, no,
it worked out in that regard. But I'm so happy that you watched it, because we really are proud of that one. It's a great,
we had a lot,
great
so much
movie.
fun working
so
on that
much
one.
fun.
Well, you should be very proud, because, and you know what I love, because like the fun translates through the screen to the audience. You could tell like how much fun everybody's having fighting the aliens, going back and forth with the old people. I loved it. I really did.
So Mark, the director, he's the one in the alien costume.
Okay.
And anytime you see the alien, that's a scene that Rayah directed.
Because he wasn't directing it, so he needed somebody for when he was actually being the alien.
And she actually, I think they cut some of it, but she did a shot in that movie, in Super Duper Alien Hunters. That's like the Sam Raimi camera going through the woods. That it goes right up to the alien.
I did a definite,
the Sam cam.
Definitely influenced by Sam Raimi, and at least one of the shots I tried, they did cut it, so it's not quite like it's partly there, but it's not the whole. Wasn't the whole thing that I had us shoot, but yeah, it's still somewhat in there.
It's still somewhat in there.
I'm a huge fan of the Sam cam. I
still have my fingers in there somewhere,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you how I was brought up, because I'm a little bit older than you two. I was when Jaws came out in 1975. I was 7 years old. That year, my father took us to see the movie, my brothers and I, 17 times. No, I wrote it down. I remember, I still found the book not that long ago, and I counted it 17 times that one summer. My father used to say, "Hey, do you want to go to school tomorrow? Would you want to go see Jaws?" And so I went to school. My teacher said, "You were out yesterday. Were you sick?" I said, "No, we went to see Jaws." They called down. "I told you to fucking lie. Why'd you tell them the truth?" Like every time, growing up, my father got us into Evil Dead. Videos were just coming out at the time. So, well, actually not 75, but this is a little bit later. I saw every time we go to the movies, they would say, "I don't know if your kids can handle it. My kids can take it. Get them a ticket." So I loved watching those movies. And the thing, I'm so glad that I saw that at that age, because I was never scarred. I knew for some reason it never scared me. I always knew that it was a movie and I could differentiate the two. But by the time I was like 11 or 12, I was already desensitized by horror movies. I'm like, nah, nothing scares me. But when I would go home, we had a pond, and we would, so we didn't know what plagiarism was back then. But my brothers and I, when Jaws came out, we built this wooden shark and put it in the pond, and then had the kids pay $0.25 to watch us for the movie called Shark. And then we had this other one called Killer Seaweed. It was just, we would put on movies for the kids. And just like, so when Close Encounters came out, I built this big UFO, and I wrote a movie called, hey, guess what? UFO. So I grew up watching all these great movies and just always wanting to be a filmmaker myself.
That's
Didn't
awesome.
happen, but I had a great time. Now I love the fact I get to be in, some movies like yours.
Many years ago, I watched a top 100 horror movies of all time on VH1, I think.
Yep.
And Jaws was number one.
Yep, and well deserved. And you know what I love? I mean, obviously it's the 50th anniversary as we're talking, and it was re-released a couple weeks ago. Last week it was number 2 in the box office. It beat out almost every other movie except for one. I love that. A movie that came out 50 years ago.
Horror is difficult.
Yeah.
It's like you said, we know that it's not real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not really getting killed, and it's all fake. And it's been done so much.
Mm-hmm.
I have been spending a lot of time lately, because we're going to be doing this thing, asking myself, what is scary?
Yeah.
Something running out at you from the dark, I think, is a very visceral, that goes back to like our caveman brain.
Yeah.
Where predators could be out there. Other things, doctors and nurses who are abusing patients instead of taking care of them. What is scary? And more importantly, how do you capture that on film? Because, we just want to make a good horror movie. We just want to, it's not about winning an award or whatever. We just want to work with these talented people.
Yeah.
And make a good movie.
Make something scary.
Make something scary. Yeah. Make something that makes people go, oh.
Yeah, I think what's scary, I think to most people, would be something that could really happen, like the movie Strangers. Like it's a home invasion movie, and you can picture yourself home alone at night. It's very quiet, and you hear something at the door, and like something like that would be, I think, scarier to most people than just say like this zombie walking through the woods, because you're like, that's not going to happen. So when you bring up a good point, like, doctors abusing their patients and things like that, that's something that could really happen, and that would be a horror movie. So
yeah, I like horror that's more like, it's funny. I wasn't really like a fan of the genre, not in any, not that I was against it.
Yep.
When I was a kid, I don't think I've ever sat through a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But when I was a kid, there was this show called Freddy's Nightmares.
Yep.
And that Robert Englund hosted as Freddy. And I never missed an episode. I loved that show.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until 2012 that I was at a friend's house, and he put on Hostel 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and we watched it, and I realized I need to get into horror, because there's like a whole genre of films that I'm ignoring. What am I doing? Yeah. And I watched the original Halloween for the first time in 2018 with Rayah. Oh, so that's what I was going to say before too, is this, we both had our own sort of sensibilities, but when we got together, it was like, have you ever seen this? Have you, for example, I always knew that I would watch Supernatural one day. Yeah. But when I met her, we binged the whole thing from start to finish.
I'm a huge fan. And he is now too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I love that.
Never seen Lost. I had never seen Ash versus Evil Dead. So
I love that.
We started influencing each other that way. Also, there's this thing called Gish. You ever heard of Gish?
That one I haven't heard of. No.
Gish stands for
Greatest International Scavenger Hunt. And
it was started by Misha Collins, who played Castiel on Supernatural. And it was basically a scavenger hunt. And once a year for a week, this list of 250 items would come out, and people would have to create and take a picture or make a video and upload your submissions. And this went on for a while. And when I met Rayah, I had never heard of it. And we did it a few years in a row. And then during lockdown, he did like these mini ones that were like 48 hours that took place over a weekend or whatever. And then not last year, but the year before,
2022. It ended.
22.
2022 was the last one.
He killed it. He said, I for whatever reason, he didn't want to do it anymore.
Yep.
So the 48-hour, my whole point in bringing that up is that the 48-hour film project sort of scratches that itch. They're cousins.
Oh, okay.
Gish and the 48-hour film project are definitely cousins.
The New Haven one always was over the first weekend of Gish. So part of the reason I hadn't done the 48 before was because I was doing the scavenger hunt. Once the scavenger hunt ended, I needed something to do that was like that, where I had to jump in with both feet and make something happen. And so I started doing the 40. I had done one before as an actor, but that was the first time that I really jumped into to lead a team. So
and she's amazing at it.
She is. You both are. I said you two make such a great team. I love the stuff that I've seen so far. I want to go back to your YouTube channel and watch the rest of it that I missed. But
Libra Tiger Pictures.
Libra Tiger Pictures. That's going to be on the screen as we're watching this when it's released. I just want to talk about because you mentioned one of your favorite films is Lord of the Rings, and I love horror. Have you seen Peter Jackson's early movies, Dead Alive and Bad Taste? You gotta check it out. It's when he first came out as a filmmaker. He started doing horror films. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I do want to go back and watch some of his earlier stuff because there was a time where the documentaries for Lord of the Rings, the behind the scenes stuff was almost on a constant loop at my apartment when I was single. I didn't have cable, so I would just watch that. I would watch the movie. Then I would watch it again with the commentary. Then I would watch the behind the scenes, and I did that with all three movies for years. I love Frighteners. I love The Lovely Bones. So yeah, like Heavenly Creatures and these other ones that he's done before. I do need to go back and watch.
Heavenly Creatures is great. I love it.
That's a great one. That's what actually got him Lord of the Rings. But go back even further. Bad Taste and especially Dead Alive. Dead Alive is probably one of my favorite Peter Jackson movies. And I want to say one story about him, which I love because he's such a talented filmmaker. And I interviewed Dee Wallace, who played in The Frighteners. And her husband died at the time when they were filming in New Zealand. And he gave the money, flew her all the way back to America, and flew her all the way back to start the filming. She said he didn't have to do that. He's the nicest guy in the world. I would make any movie with him again. And I love hearing stories like that. People that were that high and still humble and still kind and generous. And she had nothing but great things to say about him.
I did this thing I did the 2012 Connecticut Film Industry Training Program. It was at Quinnipiac. And I studied as a script supervisor. And the teachers of all the different departments, they had some serious credits. Like my teacher was Jodie Dominic, and at the time she was the script supervisor for Blue Bloods, and she had worked all this stuff. Robert Downey Jr., but one of the other teachers in the camera department said he had worked on this movie, and there was this actor. He never told us who, but he said the guy was pretty famous, and he said that when he came onto set, he wanted everyone to be quiet. So like all the hammering had to hammer quietly as you're building a set, and he was just, but he had a lot of clout and he put butts in seats. So he kind of got away with this dickish behavior. And it got to the point where on his last day, this teacher told us on this guy's last day of shooting, they all kind of gathered around and watched his car drive off for the last time, and they broke into thunderous applause.
Oh man.
The moral of the story is you don't want to be that person.
Don't be a dick.
You want to be the one who's like, I'll fly you back and forth. It's, I got it, no problem.
Yeah, it's like
Because
why do you
like
do
Brad
that?
Pitt said in a recent interview, it eventually gets to a point where it's not about the story you tell or the character you play or the career advancement. It boils down to who you would and would not work with again.
Exactly, and that's what gets me mad is like these stars, whoever it was, know they have the clout and they know that they're gonna put asses in the seats, and so they know they can act like that, and they're still gonna get hired. I wish somebody would say, you know what, I don't care how big you are, I'm gonna get somebody else who's maybe a little bit smaller in name, but I'd rather work with him. It's like
I mean, but for every 10 of those guys, there's a Keanu Reeves who outshines them all. And, that's just, I feel like we've been really lucky. We've been really lucky to be able to surround ourselves with such talent, with such talented people who are totally down to dive in and just do some crazy thing for a movie. We've been really, really lucky. There hasn't been any drama or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people too, and especially if they haven't worked on a 48 and they're working with us, and things sometimes get a little hectic and a little crazy. We're trying to figure out how to fit in a shot in the time we have or whatever. And I say, look, I know this is not a normal way of making a movie
at all.
It's just how we have to do it today. and then we're going to do it and we're going to get it done and it's going to be great. So
I've been a part of two of them, but I mean, I know each one had a completely different cast, but all the people, as you just mentioned, all the people I worked with were great. They're like, all right, let's do it. They were all in for whatever needed to be done. Do you two work with a lot of the same people in the different 48s?
yeah, I mean, we've
Ryan Frost has been in 3 of them.
Okay.
And he's just a fantastic guy, huge presence, pro wrestler. I would never not work with Ryan, and I'm kind of sad he's not available for this one that's coming up.
Yeah, there's, I think it comes down to who's available, and also trying to maybe rotate some people in. So if somebody hasn't done one in a while and they want to work with us again, let's try to get them in the next one. Or maybe somebody's done a couple but they've only had one line in each of them. Let's try to give them some more lines in the next one. And then we kind of hope that people that maybe have had bigger roles so far are okay if maybe they don't have as big a role in the next one. Or
I mean, it's only a 7-minute
little
movie.
bit just to try to, yeah, it's only 7 minutes.
We can't do a cast of thousands. So sometimes it's like, because it is so intense and it's so quick, we could like have a huge roster of people and then suddenly they all drop out for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's great that we have so many people that we can call on, and then hopefully if we can't get everybody in one, they'll still be willing to try again another time and we can get them in the next one. And I do try to keep that in mind when I reach out to people to see if they're available. I try to keep in mind if they've expressed interest in doing this again, and maybe they couldn't do one or we couldn't use them in one. So let's see if we can make it work the next time. So I try to not get just the same people in every single one, but also I love being able to work with people that have already worked with us, and so they kind of know the ropes a little bit, and also new people. I love bringing new people in too. So
I mean, I loved Nathan as our cinematographer for both Frights, Horus, and The Warehouse, and then he couldn't do them anymore. We got really lucky with Anthony.
Yeah. And then with that, we also have Will Santiago, who he came in and he worked sound on that one, and I was actually in his movie at Connecticut School of Broadcasting. So he's actually going to be the cinematographer on the next one because he messaged me and said, I got this new camera and I want to try this stuff with it, and I'd really love to work with you again. And so we're bringing him in again, but this time he'll be on camera. So it's great to be able to rotate people around, and people can do different things and work in different aspects of making a 48-hour film.
Yep. I'm going to put this out here right now because I know you want to rotate people. Whenever you need me, I'll make sure I'm available, even if I'm like
You're on
the
speed
guy in the
dial.
background. Because I love the fact. What was that?
You're on speed dial.
Well, I love the fact you give me like maybe only one line or two lines, but you give me the best lines. I'm gonna mess it up a little bit, but in Frights, Horus, because I find out I got somebody pregnant, it's like I'll be right back or something like that.
Yeah, it's
It's
great.
like, but I love
Locked up. Okay, babe, that's cool. I'm just gonna.
Oh yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a great line. It's a great
Yeah.
line.
So like, yeah, even if it's just like one line in a 7-minute film, I love just being
And
a
then,
part of the
you
whole
know,
process.
it's such a heavy movie that little like spark of humor comes right when it's needed.
Because when I was doing that, I was thinking of John Travolta and Grease. Yeah, baby, that's cool. That's cool. Rocking and rolling and whatnot.
Half my performance is stolen from other sources, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because you talked about like paying homage and stealing, and you said one of your favorite filmmakers is Quentin Tarantino. That guy steals from everybody, but he makes it his own. I mean, if you see all these films, because I love all the films that he was inspired when he was working at video archives. It's like one, especially one is like on Kill Bill. My name is Buck, and I'm raring the fuck. That was from a movie called Eaten Alive by Toby Hooper. That was Robert Englund that actually said that line.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
Yeah. So and I'm watching these movies, I'm like, wait a minute, why is it? And then like, what's her name? She played the one with the patch in Kill Bill. They call her
Daryl Hannah.
Daryl Hannah. Yeah, that's a movie called. If you can look it up, They Call Me One Eye. Or I call her One Eye, and just she has a pat looks exactly like her. But he takes that and then he makes it his own. So he's borrowing, but he's not exactly ripping everything up. So I love that. It's like you said, like everything for the most part has been done. But how you take that trope and make it you, and that's so far the ones I've seen. That's what you two are doing.
Plus, too, like you said earlier, the younger generation doesn't even know that it's based on anything, and it becomes iconic in its own way.
Exactly. And for me, what I love too is like I'm not sure what your opinion on this. Your opinion on reboots and remakes. I'm not a big fan, but what I did like is that it brings attention to the original. People go back like, oh, I didn't realize this was an original. And then they'll watch that. Like, oh my, like an example for me was like I love the original Assault on Precinct 13, John Carpenter. And when they came out with the remake, which actually the remake wasn't too bad. I saw it and I'll admit that I liked it, but it brought attention like, oh, really? There's an original? Let me check that out. And then people start to get into those films. Because I'm a huge fan of like the 70s and 80s. I love that era for movies.
I just saw something not too long ago. It's a meme or a post or something on social media, but I liked it. They were saying, and I'll paraphrase it, but it was, I think what we should do is instead of remaking all the great movies, let's remake the bad ones that should be good.
I like that.
Make good versions of the, stuff. So find something that's like, really didn't work out, but if we do it this way, we make a good movie out of it. So
that is a great idea.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. Because I think a lot of times, are you a fan of Kevin Smith? His movies?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. But like he had a great point. He goes, these studios could give a shit less what the content of the movie is. They just want name recognition, get the asses in the seat, get that weekend gross, and then they'll move on to the next movie. So most of the studios could care less. All they want is people to be familiar with the name. So that's why a lot of these remakes. But now with all these streaming services, it's changed the game again.
Yeah.
So these, like I saw a great movie. Well, I saw part of it, and I'm gonna watch the rest of it. It's had Ben Kingsley, Helen Mirren, and Pierce Brosnan. And I said, what is this doing on Netflix? This should be in the theaters. 3 great actors. It was like The Murder Club or something like that. I don't know. Whatever it was really good. And it's just that good. I'm glad I brought that up. So I want both of your opinions on this. Steven Spielberg had made a comment a couple of years ago saying that movies like that should not be nominated for an Oscar. That's basically a made-for-TV movie. What's your opinion?
You know, I don't know. I think Matt talks about it all the time, how the line is being blurred between what's for movies and what's for TV. And so I don't know. I wouldn't ever say that something shouldn't be
Yeah.
up for whatever type of award that people decide it should have. I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
Okay. No,
I'll
if
let
it's,
you
if it's
take
good,
it. I'm
it's
not an
good.
expert on that. I don't know.
I was just curious because he made that comment and it was so for some people it was controversial, but I mean if it's good, it's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still a movie. But I want to get back to the movies that you two are in. So I know I saw this on Facebook recently. It's a movie called Re-Entry.
Yes.
What is that? And
So that one is actually having its premiere. It had a showing, a screening at a film festival in Indiana last year sometime. But its premiere is coming up October 11th in Madison, Connecticut.
oh,
So it's a movie with Sam Trammell and Emily Deschanel, and it's like a sci-fi tinged romance, and we are both extras in it, although Matt maybe will possibly get a little more screen time. We haven't seen it yet,
okay.
so I don't know how much either of us is actually on screen, but yeah, it's just coming out. It looks it looks good to me. I'm excited to see it. We're going to be going to the premiere, so I'll be excited to see that.
We're in Madison.
Where in Madison?
I don't know offhand. I'll have to look it up. It's Re-Entry. If you Google it though, you can find Re-Entry Connecticut premiere. It should come up.
The reason I asked is a couple weeks ago I never knew this existed. There was this really cool playhouse in Madison that I saw Amadeus there. And I wonder if that's where it is because that would be a great place to show the movie.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure offhand. I don't have that information on me.
Well, the two of you also have done, as we mentioned, a lot of stage work. So, did you how young were you when you both decided that you know what I love acting and I want to start acting on plays? Were you at a young age in maybe school and did school plays?
Wait, before we get to that, here is, see if you can see it.
Wait, it's oh,
see that? See that? That's Emily Deschanel in Re-Entry.
oh.
And this person right here, that's me. That's me.
Yeah.
So we got that through Connecticut Film and TV Alliance.
Yep.
And you know Q, you know him?
The name sounds familiar. I'm not sure if I know him though.
He's basically the one that got us that extra work.
He has like an extra casting company,
and you know, we showed up one night, and it was in New Haven, and it's like a party scene where they're having a birthday party, and Rayah and I are in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Very standard stuff. We're like there's probably dozens of party goers to this thing by the carousel and by the beach and stuff, and it was fun. So then we go back. Was it the next day or the following day? A few days later,
a couple days later,
and I saw the director. His name is Brendan. And as we were walking by, I said to him, "Hey, we had a really great time. Thank you so much for having us here. We had a really great time the other day." And he was like, "Oh yeah," he was very nice. The next thing I know, some girl comes into the room and looks at me and goes, "You, come here. The director wants to see you." And I'm like, "Okay." And we go out and he's like, "Yeah, so this is the scene where she's showing up to her husband's funeral. She's being mobbed by the press. I want you to be the guy who is like pushing them out of the way and yelling at them to give her room and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay." And we did a couple takes, and that's when I realized I'm in a movie with Emily Deschanel.
Wow. I love it. And that's what's so great is that,
And that was like 2 years ago, and then we didn't hear anything for the longest time. It was only just recently that it was like, oh, by the way, there's going to be a big premiere. So here's what's happening. October 3rd, 4th, and 5th is the 48-hour film project.
mhm.
On the 6th, the Rayah is going to go to Minnesota, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then on Saturday, we're going to the re-entry premiere.
All right.
And then like a week later is our birthday. And then we're doing two. So to answer your question
about theater,
she and I are both doing not one, but two productions of A Christmas Carol in Middletown this year, towards the end of the year.
yeah.
Which I wanted to talk about that. Was it Haddam? I think the Haddam.
East Haddam Stage
East
Company.
Haddam Stage Company, but yeah, both productions are actually in Middletown, one at the Wadsworth Mansion and one at the Russell Library. But yeah, you were asking about when we got started acting, and I'll answer first because I was a little bit of a late bloomer to the acting thing. I had been a bit of a musician, and I'd been a dancer, growing up, but I never really did theater or acting until I got to college. And I had some friends who were theater majors or did theater. And I think I needed an elective, so I decided to take intro to theater. And after I took that, I thought, well, that was interesting. Maybe I should try an acting class. So I took an acting class, and I was like, I was kind of good at that. Maybe I should take another one. And before too long, I noticed that it was only a couple of credits difference between being a minor or a major in theater, and I was already an English major. So I thought, well, just take a couple extra classes, add those extra credits, and double major, which I did not tell my parents that I was in any way majoring in theater.
Yeah.
As far as they knew, it was just something fun that I was doing on the side. And then when I graduated, my mom asked me what my degree was officially, and I came clean that I was a theater major.
Oh, that's funny.
That was my story. So he started younger.
I mean, after I saw Star Wars, I knew that's what I wanted to do, was be an actor. Good choice. I was in HMS Pinafore in the 6th grade. That was my first thing.
Wow.
Then I was I did HMS Pinafore, The Wiz, Little Mary Sunshine, and then in 9th grade, South Pacific, and then in 10th grade, Brigadoon. And that was the last musical I ever did. But I did the one acts all through high school, and then I went to Central, did a lot of shows there. Then I moved to LA, attended the Van Maar Academy of Motion Picture and Television Acting, came back 6 years later, started Libra Tiger Pictures. And I did a show in Los Angeles. The last thing I did was this show called Tommy Christmas on Sunset Boulevard, and it was horrible. I mean, it was horrible. I still have the scathing review where the guy says something about how we didn't even understand the basics of theater, So that was 2000. Yeah, it was 2004, I guess. So 15 years later, I'm on Facebook and I see that Hole in the Wall Theater in New Britain is doing War of the Worlds. They're doing a radio drama of War of the Worlds. And the final performance is going to be on the night of the 80th anniversary of the original broadcast where everybody panicked. And I was like, oh, I got to get in. So that was kind of like my triumphant return to theater after 15 years. And I had like one paragraph of dialogue and that was it. But while I was doing that, I learned that they were doing Macbeth, a film noir version of Macbeth. And I'd always wanted to do Macbeth. And a film noir version seemed right up my alley. So I auditioned and I got Macduff. And the first week of rehearsals came and went. And then the beginning of the second week, we're all there at rehearsal. And this blonde woman walks in and I was like, hey, who's that? They're like, oh, that's Rayah. She was in Mexico for a week. That's why she missed the first week of rehearsals. And I was like, oh. And that was pretty much it. We met on that show, and before we knew it, we realized that we had the same birthday, and we had the same a lot of the same likes and dislikes, and the things that we needed to expand our horizons came from the other person.
I love it. You bring out the best in each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think so. So you both went to acting school. What was your biggest takeaway from learning how to act from teachers?
My biggest thing is always go back to the basics. I'll never be afraid to go back to acting 101 and take a new look at the things that you started learning in the first place. Another thing that I like too, by the way, is kind of along the same lines, is there tends to be a tendency in people to use lingo that's specific to theater, specific to film. And when you want to try to bring in people to work with you on it, not even people aren't going to know well what all this stuff means sometimes. And the first show that I ever did, I did not know what blocking was.
Oh.
And I didn't know what notes meant. And somebody told the rehearsal was over and I was leaving, and somebody said, wait, the director's going to give us notes. And I said, well, can't he just tell us? I didn't understand. And so I try to keep things down to regular language when I can. If I, without thinking, use some type of lingo, and somebody looks like they're not sure what I mean, I will say it in layman's terms so that, I don't think that anybody should ever be too big to go back to the start and back to the basics. So.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
When I attended the Van Mar Academy of Motion Picture and Television Acting in Los Angeles on the corner of Hollywood and La Brea, one of my teachers was Stephanie Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie Fury, do you know the name?
I've heard the name. I'm not
her parents had an acting school in New York City, and they taught people like Alec Baldwin, Sean Penn, what's his name, Eric Stoltz.
Wow.
These were the people, Meg Ryan, these were the people she grew up with.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. And she was a great teacher. She could be a real hard ass sometimes, but she really was a great teacher. And I think maybe, and I've had some other great teachers too, don't get me wrong. And I've learned a lot from a lot of people, but I think one of the biggest things I learned from her. I think the biggest thing about being an actor for myself, I learned from her, which is the physical feeds into the emotional feeds into the dialogue feeds into the physical. I'm never a good actor if I'm just standing there talking, but if my character is engaged in something, it feeds on itself. When you see people and they're just like kind of standing around talking, and that's why I always try to bring something physical to everything I do.
Yeah, well, and I love that because a perfect example is
and that's thanks to Stephanie.
Yeah, well, I love that because Super Duper Alien Hunters, you do that a lot, and it comes across as so natural. It's not like you're just sitting here reading your lines. You're like just rolling your eyes, shaking your head, doing this, doing that with your arms.
Acting is reacting.
Yes.
If somebody's just standing there like,
yes.
We know as actors, when you're trying to act with somebody and they're just giving you nothing, it's, all of my acting teachers always said, it's much easier for you to go over the top and have me bring you down than it is for me to try to get you there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, make a choice, make it bold. If it's wrong, someone will tell you.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's like Tom Hanks said about some famous person said to him, an actor's job is very simple. Show up on time, know your lines, and have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that have an idea is the most important part. It really is. You have to have some kind of idea. You can't just show up and go, okay. I mean, you can, and people have become super successful and famous that way, but I prefer not to work that way.
Well, it's funny you said that because I had an interview with he's a character actor. His name is PJ Byrne. Right now he's in that TV show Rainmaker, but he worked with Clint Eastwood and he's done plenty of movies with Martin Scorsese. But the reason I bring that up was that he said Clint Eastwood, he's like, basically one take, done. I don't care. Let's move on. I want it to be genuine. I don't want to do 100 takes. And even he didn't say this, but I'm using Kubrick as an example because I knew Kubrick would do like 100 takes with Jack Nicholson, The Shining, and Shelley Duvall. But he was more like, bam, bam, let's go. You should know your lines by now. Let's move on to the next scene. Let's make it look genuine. Let's make it look good. And you should know this. So I agree with that mentality in a way too. And what do you think? What's your opinion on people that are method actors that have to become that, and if they can't break character at all until the movie's over?
So I think there's a place for a level of method acting. I have, the way I learned, we kind of did a combination in when I was taking acting classes of method, little bit of Meisner and some other techniques, I guess. But whatever works is the right way to do it. Now,
as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Exactly. And what works for you, maybe it's not working for the production, in which case it's not working. So, it's there needs to be some balance in there. I think in the past, a lot of people have used their method acting as an excuse for bad behavior.
Yes.
And I don't agree with that at all. I do think that there is a place when you're on stage and you're in the moment to really just feel the character. I mean, I've been there. In All My Sons, I played Anne, and I will tell you, I cried on stage every night in that show, and I never once tried to cry because I was just there in the moment and feeling it. And that's kind of the method way of doing it, and it worked in that show for me, and it was a lovely experience for me to play the character. That being said, if I were playing a raging maniac, I would not want to go around like that all the time, terrorizing my castmates. That's just not not how you should work.
No, I agree with you 1,000%. I know Daniel Day-Lewis said in the past, he goes, I'm not trying to be an asshole. He goes, this just works for me. I like when I'm playing Lincoln, I have to be Lincoln the whole time. I can't break character. It just works for me. But other people, I'm sure you saw The King of Comedy with Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis.
Have not seen it.
Oh, you got to see this movie. Scorsese,
especially after the first Joker. I really want to go back and watch it.
Yes, exactly. But throughout the whole movie, the making, Robert De Niro was just being a complete dick to Jerry Lewis. And then at the end of the movie, he goes, hey man, it was great working with you. And Jerry Lewis said, why the hell were you such an asshole? He goes, you were supposed to hate me in this movie. I wanted you to hate me in real life so it would look real. So throughout the whole movie, he was just being a complete asshole to him. But it worked for the movie, but I know what you're saying. It's like you don't have to.
And I do try to respect it if somebody else is kind of in that headspace where they need to do that. Yeah. As long as that's not negatively affecting. I mean, I don't know. It's just I will try to respect other people's techniques and choices of how they want to work.
I've always been a big proponent of whatever work, as long as you're not hurting anyone, whatever works for you. When I was in college, we did Glengarry Glen Ross.
Love that.
And I played Williamson, Kevin Spacey's part in the movie. And this guy, Ryan, played Levine.
Yep.
And I had read in a book that I have about De Niro that shortly before they shot a scene in some movie, he punched his co-star like right in the face. But he genuinely liked his co-star. So when they shot, he was like genuinely upset and felt bad, which was what the scene called for.
Yeah.
So with my head ringing with that sort of thing, we're standing backstage, ready to go out, and I just sucker punched Ryan right in the stomach to make him hate me. And I got to tell you, I learned a very valuable lesson. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay.
Yeah.
It did not it did not make things believable, or I was just a guy who sucker punched another guy backstage.
Yeah.
So I've always been a big proponent in whatever works as long as you're not hurting anyone. And the example I always use is the difference between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Brad Dourif.
Mhm.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was a Terminator, you could turn it on, turn it off. I'm
Yeah.
Arnold, I'm the Terminator. I'm Arnold, I'm the Terminator. He could do that, and that's what worked for him.
Yeah.
Brad Dourif, when he played Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings, he had to immerse himself in it so much that he had the accent the whole time they were shooting. And when they wrapped, he started speaking in his regular American accent. And Bernard Hill was like, yo, what's this crap American accent you're doing? And Brad Dourif was like, no, this is how I really talk. So that's
funny.
what worked for him. And in both cases, Arnold and Brad Dourif, they're not hurting anybody.
Yep.
They're doing what they
They're
need to do
doing
to
what
get
they
there.
need to do to get there. So I am a big proponent of that. Just don't, like, I'll tell you this right now. If I was on the set of Suicide Squad, the first one and Jared Leto sent me a dead rat in the mail or whatever, I'd be like, dude, this isn't cool.
Yeah.
This is not okay behavior,
I agree with that. There's one, it goes with what you were saying. William Friedkin, the director of The Exorcist and so many other great movies. Do you remember the scene where, mind went blank. The Father Karras gets either thrown out or jumps out the window at the end. And so the priest is giving him the last rites. And he said he could not get that right. He says, I need to look real. So he went up to the priest and said, do you trust me? He goes, yes. Do you love me? Yes. So he slapped him as hard as he could across the face and started filming. And if you watch the movie, you'll see the guy going like this, shakes. He didn't know what the fuck just happened. So it's like things like that are a little. Another example of what he did with Ellen Burstyn, when she gets thrown across the room, she goes, "My back is killing me. Please, can you be a little more careful?" So William Friedkin told the guy, he goes, "Let me do it." And he pulled her so hard, and he hurt her. Like, I think that's uncalled for a movie. Made it look even more realistic, but still, don't hurt the actors that are in your movie.
It comes down to that old story about was it Laurence Olivier and Dustin Hoffman for Marathon Man, where Dustin Hoffman stayed up like 5 straight nights in a row to get this, and Laurence Olivier says, have you tried acting? You don't have to,
Yeah.
I know that people have put themselves through extreme transformations.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Do whatever you need to do. Just don't hurt other people with it.
Yeah. I think a perfect example of that is Christian Bale. He puts himself through so many different transformations, but I mean, besides that, the Terminator movie where he had the outburst, that's something different. But what he does to his own body doesn't hurt anybody else, but he'll gain 50 pounds, he'll lose 75 pounds.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a movie, I can't remember what it's called, but Matt Damon did that for a movie. I think it's Courage Under Fire. It might be the name. And he said he lost so much weight that I will never do that again. I was sick. He goes, I'll either wear a bodysuit or just make myself look thinner. He goes, I'm not going to do that to myself anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for authenticity, but it is just a movie.
Exactly. Like you said, it's called acting. You can do it.
Daniel Day-Lewis, if he needs to be Lincoln the whole time, like, I get it, no problem.
Yeah.
And I would love to work with Jared Leto.
Oh my God.
But I would just be like, please take this back. I don't want it.
As nice as it is, I really do appreciate it. Please get it out of this room. So what do you prefer, doing movies or being live on stage when you get that instant gratification, the audience loves you, or the hurry up and wait?
Yeah, they're very different. I love them both. I love doing both.
Yeah, me too.
I think there's something about, like you said, that automatic response of the audience when you're there, and also that you know, you're not stopping and starting, of course. So you're doing the whole show through, and you get this energy going between the cast and the crew and the audience. The audience is the last thing that a show needs. So you have everything else ready, but you still don't really have a show until the audience is there. And then you get that energy feed back and forth from the stage to the audience, and you get
Why
the
did they laugh at
reactions.
that line?
And what?
You know, you'll be like, why did they laugh at that
Oh,
line?
right, yeah. All of a sudden
I don't
things,
get what,
and
you
it
know.
builds, and then it builds on what you're, you know, what you're feeling as the character, and then it's just it's a magical experience. And I think, but film can also be, it's, even though it's, you know, you get on a different kind of a role, with, you know, working with the actors of the crew and setting up the shots and the uh putting it together. When you put it together in the editing and you start seeing it all come together, it's really nearly the same type of feeling as when a live show comes together. So they're definitely very different, but they both have their own kind of magic. um
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Because for me doing comedy, I got the instant gratification. I knew there, but then working with you, just I loved watching the process of getting everybody together. All right, let's try this, let's do that, and then going to the theater and like, holy shit! You out of all of that, you've got 7 great minutes of
And we're so lucky to be able to
Yeah.
do that, to, you know,
yeah.
to be able to make something and go watch it with an audience, not once, not twice, 3 times, and all these, like, you know, a lot of actors will be like, I don't like to watch my own stuff. I love watching my own stuff.
I'm the same.
I love watching the things I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
I go back. I will like certain things, and then other times I'm like, all right, I saw that. I don't need to see it
I
again,
love
but
watching the movies that I make, because I'm you know, I'm I want to make movies and give performances that I would want to watch, and that hopefully other people want to watch too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 1,000%. Because I know a lot of people say the same thing too, and I say, you know, I love everything. Like even with my shows, I'll like put a YouTube on, it's like, oh, let me check out. And then for me, I use it also. It's like, all right, that worked. Let me try this next time, or let me try something different, and then I can learn from the different. For me, example, the interviews that I've done, could learn like how to do it better. All right, I did this. Let me try that instead. So you can either I enjoy it and I also learn from it.
I mean, at the end of the day, for us, every time we do a project, the only people we're really competing against is ourselves. Yep. And our latest work. We're always trying to take it to the next level, whatever that may be.
Yep. Well, as I mentioned before, I was going through research and some of the things you've done, and this, I don't know how far back this goes, but I was saying like how supportive you are of all different filmmakers and your friends. I want to talk about something you did. His name is Michael R. McGuire. It was called My Neighbors Are Spying on Me.
Yes, I did. I did a staged reading of that. Actually, yeah, I think both times we did it was a staged reading. One of the times we had, it was, I've done it twice, and one of them was at Hole in the Wall. Mm-hmm. And we had a little bit more blocking and things. It was a little bit more like a production. The other one we did at the Dutch Tavern in New London. Yeah. New London. And you know, there wasn't as much space and that kind of thing, but really fun. I love Michael McGuire. I love doing his works are so funny and enigmatic, edgy and irreverent, and it's not like he's trying to be those things. He just is.
Yeah, his personality.
It's so great. I love it.
It's a great play. In fact, I mean, we talked about it for hours. Like, what did this mean? What did that mean? Why did this work? You know, and to me, that's the sign of something good, when you're when you're chewing on it for a while.
Yeah. I noticed, like, for me, there's a lot of great places in Connecticut. The Hole in the Wall is one of the places you mentioned, but then you got like Seven Angels Theater, you have the Phoenix Theater Company, you have Thomaston Opera House, and I noticed a lot of the I see a lot of the same actors in all the different places. Like Goshen Playhouse is another one, and it's great. It's like, it seems like it's such a small community in Connecticut, but I see like all these same groups just doing all these different shows together, getting along together, and you could, just like we talked about before, it's like when the movie Super Duper Alien Hunters, you guys were just having the best time, and you can see with the actors that I'm watching, they're all having the time of their lives, and that makes the show even more fun. When the actors are having fun, you're having fun too. And it's so do you find that, because I mean, what places, I know you do the East Haddam Stage Company, Gillette Castle, what other playhouses in this area anyway, in Connecticut, do you perform at?
I've worked with also Little Theater of Manchester, Suffield Players, Dionysus Theater Company, who are now in Enfield, Connecticut Theater
Yeah.
Company in New Britain.
We did Calendar Girls there last year.
Yeah.
I gotta start checking these places out. All the places you mentioned, I haven't been to yet. I don't know why. So I gotta start expanding my horizons. There's all these places I've been to, but I have not been to those yet.
It's funny because we don't. It's rare if we show up for something and there's not somebody there we know, have worked with, auditioned with, whatever. It is a pretty. I don't want to say tight knit, but we all know each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's
like we went out for this play. We went out and auditioned for this play, and then a few days later, I did background work on a golf commercial, and the director was one of the extras with me. I was just like, "Hey, how you doing?" So.
Oh yeah, no, that's where I've noticed with the other playhouses that I've been to. It seems like it's just very small, but and for the most part, I'm sure there's there's some good and bad in everything. There's some people that are like just don't work well with others, but for the most part, everybody seems to get along and they do a lot of shit.
I mean, it's like anything in life.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Rayah is right when she says that acting and theater and performing and all this for some reason can lend itself to some more outlandish behavior, because it is such a visceral thing, telling stories.
Yeah.
So you really just have to have boundaries. You know what I mean?
Yep. Another thing when I was doing my research, I want to talk about this. What's Connecticut Fable?
Connecticut Fable?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if it was Rayah that did that or Matt, Hamlet. I saw.
They're actually they're a tea shop, but we went there to do a reading of Hamlet.
Okay.
That it was really kind of a one-off, just for the director and some of the regular cast that's in it to kind of hear the script again and get it potentially get it on its feet. I don't really know where it's going, if it's going to grow into a full production and if we'll be in it or not.
But the guy playing Hamlet, Tony Palmieri,
yep,
he directed us in Calendar Girls, and he's a great guy. He has a bakery in Cromwell called Tony's Flour Shop, FLOUR. We love Tony. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever met. And
so he was the one that asked us if we would want to read, and so we said yes, because it was Tony, and also it was Hamlet, but he's Hamlet, so of course we'll be there for you.
And Connecticut Fable just happened to be the tea shop where we all crammed in.
That was the place where we all went to do this. Yeah.
From the pictures, it looked like a really cool place. I would love to check that out if they do another show there.
It is a really cool place. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's not a theater. I don't know if they do other events. They may have other kinds of events and things there. But it's a really cool little shop.
And I noticed that, especially recently, since I'm getting to know you two, you do a lot of things together. Like, say, if you're doing a movie, Ray will show up, and then Ray is doing something. You're in it. I love the fact you do a lot. Do you go to a lot of auditions together?
But let me just say this. I would not be able to do the things that I've been able to do if not for Rayah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a car. It's her car. So yes, we go on auditions together and we definitely support each other. But if it wasn't for Rayah, I'd be dead in the water.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that, but we
It's
also
true.
don't, you know, we don't automatically come as a set. So
We don't have to.
if you
It's
want
not
just him,
exclusive, or
that's
just
fine.
her. We'd
If you want just
understand.
me, that's fine
And
too.
that kind of
So
thing happens all the time too. You know,
yeah,
like she
yeah,
costumed this play Proof at Little Theater of Manchester just a couple months ago. She was the costumer on that. Or what was the other thing that you did without me? She does a lot of stuff without me.
So-
People are always asking her to do stuff like this, like my neighbors are spying on me. And
Yeah.
right. And you did the other, we both did some of the student films for CSB, but we were not in them together. They were
she
in
did
separate
one
ones.
and I did too. And they
Yeah,
were separate,
so.
and she was gone that day for shooting and I was gone. But I prefer, I enjoy working with her.
Yeah.
I really do. And I know I always have. And that's how our relationship started, was us working it. Because I was Macduff and she was Lady Macduff, but they don't actually have any scenes together in the play.
Yeah.
I was also a witch in that
so
one.
it was kind of like, oh, are you my wife? Hi, nice to meet you.
I mentioned, because I've gone there for tours and I've known about the place for years. Gillette's Castle. I didn't even realize they had shows there. What shows did you perform there?
They've for 15 years, 16 years now, they've been doing plays in the summer outside the castle in the it doesn't really have a name, I guess. Now it's the East Haddam Stage Company's stage there, because they have since built like an actual stage, which was not there the very first year. I was part of it when they started, and there was no stage. We put some rugs down. We weren't allowed to put up signs about the show. So before the show went up, we would go around on the grounds and tell people that we were about to do a show. And if they wanted to come over and watch it, we're over there. And now they've got signage, they've got a permanent stage that's built there.
Promotion.
And a lot of great shows. And Candy Carl, who runs the East Haddam Stage Company, she'll adapt plays to be able to be done there in the summer, outside theater, a quick half an hour show. She's really brilliant when it comes to making these fun shows. But the one that I started with, and the last one I did there again, is called All the Comforts of Home. It's written by William Gillette. And the original play was, 2 hours or more, had 20 some characters and animals and all kinds of set things and spectacle and all this. And Candy boiled it down to 4 actors playing 8 characters in a half an hour.
Wow.
Just a whirlwind. And Matt did it the last year that I did that one as well.
So she's been she did this show so long ago originally that she was playing the younger female role when she started, and then now 15 years later, last year,
the mom
she played the older
younger
role.
character.
And that first weekend that they went, so they rehearsed for like 2 months while I was sitting at home playing video games, and then that first weekend one of the actors got fired.
Yeah.
So the next thing I know is like, hey, Matt, can you learn this show in a week? And I did. I learned the show in a week, and I wound up doing 16 performances. And it was super fun. And that was kind of my foot in the door. Now, like Rayah said, Candy has been doing this. And it's super fun. If you're like going to the castle, you're going to check out the castle and the history. And then, oh, by the way, there's like a show over here written by the guy whose castle you're at. So that's cool. That's like a nice little added bonus. Go see the show, But Candy had been trying to convince them to let her do something inside the castle.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this woman, her name is Gina Russell Tracy. She's a playwright. She had written a play called William and James Ghost Story. And it's basically a fictional encounter between William Gillette and James O'Neill, who famously played who was in the original silent movie of the Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, okay.
He was also Eugene O'Neill's father, the famous playwright. So she had convinced them to let her do this show inside the castle. Now, look, I mean, Charlie Chaplin, Mark Twain, Albert Einstein walked these halls, but there had never been live theater done in this famous actor's castle.
Yeah.
And me and this great actor named Mark Gilchrist, we played William and James fall of last year. And we were very lucky and very, very, very lucky to be able to say that we were the first two actors to ever do a show. We did like 8 performances in the grand room. And it's quite a feather in my cap. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. And I'm so glad that I read about that, because I didn't even realize they were doing shows there. So I'm so glad. I'm going to keep my eye on that one and all the other places that you mentioned before, because I love going to see live theater, and there's so many great people I've seen, and I definitely have to.
Oh, we're going to be in 2 different versions of A Christmas Carol, one at Wadsworth Mansion and the other one at Russell Library. The one at the one at Wadsworth Mansion is like, you follow the story into different rooms. It's a lot of fun. I think the one at the library is going to be a little more atmospheric.
And when's that? What's the date for that one? Do you know?
They run. I don't know when they start, but they run through the 21st of December.
Okay.
Rehearsals like shortly after our birthday.
I think tickets might already be on sale for both of them.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I definitely will be going online, purchasing some tickets. You'll see me in one of the shows. So, Matt, I have a question for you, because you talked about how you had to learn the show in such a short time. What is your secret to memorizing lines? Because I think that would be difficult, because if you can't improv a lot and you just have to learn all these lines, so you just go over it and over it and over it and over it again until you finally have it down.
Yeah, like I said, I did Glengarry Glen Ross
Yeah.
at Central when I was like 19. I had to miss the first week of rehearsals for that because my dad and I were going to Puerto Rico with a work buddy of his and his son. Mm-hmm. And that, however many 5-6 days we were there, we were on the opposite side of the island from San Juan. So we always had like a 2-hour drive out to San Juan and a 2-hour drive back. And I read Glengarry. I sat in the back seat and read Glengarry over and over and over again, to the point where I had the entire play memorized. By the time we started the second week of rehearsals, I was already off book.
Yeah.
So I've always been really good at it. So, for example, what I've done recently, though, is really at Rayah's behest, made me a better actor and memorizer, is she has a little tape recorder, mm-hmm. and I will record the other people's lines, and I'll give it enough space. And then I will take my script out to the porch, and I'll just do it on the tape recorder over and over and over again until I know them cold. Because there's nothing worse than sitting through a scene, trying to get through a scene with an actor who doesn't know their fucking lines. It's torture. It's torture.
Tell me how you really feel.
My attitude is, I will not be holding up the production because I'm not ready.
Yep. No, I love that.
Other people find whatever, and you can tell the director's getting frustrated and stuff. Not me, man.
Yep.
I will know my lines. There's a difference between going up on a line and not knowing your lines. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, sometimes it's like you get them so good, you know them backwards and forwards through all time and space, and then you get there and you hit your mark, and it's camera rolling, and
it's like,
nothing comes out.
What's my first word? Just give me my first word.
Right, and then you got it. But somebody who's like, dude, you've had 3 weeks to be studying. How do you not know your lines? That's the worst, man. It really is. It sucks.
Yeah, I can't remember who I spoke with. It was an actress, and she was saying that she did TV, but then she said, I asked her if she ever just had a brain fart on stage and what would happen. She said that a couple times she got there, but then the other actor realized it and said, "You know what? What's in the refrigerator? Oh yeah, let me check the refrigerator." Like, so they would sort of give them a cue to like go on to the next line. Then she would be right back into where she was before. But every once in a while, like you said, like doo 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 doo.
Yeah.
And that's really sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I mean, I think every actor has a story like this, but
Yeah.
I was years and years ago, I did a production of Moon Over Buffalo, and there was a frantic chase scene that was happening, and the guy that I was on stage with picks up the phone, and he's supposed to pick up the phone and say, you know, something about keeping the guy at the bar calling, and he picks up the phone and he goes, "What do I say?" And I said, "Ask them if they can keep him there." And he goes, "Can you keep him there?" And then we just went on with it from there. So just
And that's one of the huge differences really between theater and film is in live theater, things happen. You got to think on your feet.
Exactly.
You got to be able to keep it going without breaking character, you know, whereas when you're doing shots, you're doing takes of something, you could go back and do it over again.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest difference, I think. And I think that there's, you know, being able to think on your feet, being able to keep going is it's a bit of an art form.
Yep. No, definitely. That's why somebody was saying that the best people that like for improv or people that came from radio, meaning like, you know, TV news anchors, when something goes wrong, they don't know what to do because after the teleprompter dies, they're like, oh, well, yeah. But then people that were in radio, they were on TV, can say, oh, yeah, by the way, they can start improvising because like in radio, it's more freestyle and you can you learn how to improv a little bit more. But I love that because you have to be right. And I love when the actors are supporting each other and backing each other up. Like, ask them what they want. Like, oh yeah.
And, you know, it's like the audience isn't sitting out there with a script in their hand going, oh, you missed a lot. You know what I mean?
Yep,
if
exactly.
you do it right, they won't even know that anything happened.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, there's plenty of times when I was in radio, there's times where like, especially when I first started, then the more I get into it, I didn't bother me as much, but like I messed up a word or something and most people like, you did? I didn't notice that. But like I just in my head, because I knew I did something that I didn't want to do, it was just I thought it was amplified 1,000%. But then most people are like, what are you talking about, Ray?
It's only when you stop and point out your own mistake that anyone's even gonna know. So
exactly. Yep. Well, you two have been on many stages, as I mentioned, but I want to talk about the time you two made it to the big stage, the Ed Sullivan Theater last February.
yeah, that was fun. So go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So have you ever watched Gotham?
Yes.
So Rayah finds out that Robin Lord Taylor, who for my money, I love Danny DeVito, I love Colin Farrell, I love Burgess Meredith, but for my money, Robin Lord Taylor is the best Penguin. Mm-hmm. She finds out he's doing a play in New York City called Kowalski, which is a fictionalized version of the meeting of Tennessee Williams and Marlon Brando when they first met. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go see this show. So we go see the show and it's amazing. It's so good. I mean, you want to talk about lines. Oh my goodness. As we're walking out, Drew Powell, who played Solomon Grundy on Gotham, walks right past me. Now, I had met him at 2018 Terrificon, and we had just binged Gotham. So he walks past me, and I stop. I'm like, Drew Powell. And he's like, hey, how you doing? And he's just such a great guy. And we took pictures with him, and it was like, we left, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is so great, right? So then the next day we go to see the show, the Ed Sullivan, the Stephen Colbert. Now I only bring up the Drew Powell thing because it was like already got some momentum going with these famous people, right? So we go to the Colbert, late night with Stephen Colbert. You stand outside for a few hours, and it was February, so it was cold. Mm-hmm. Then you go inside, and then they take everybody to the bathroom, which is super nice of them. and then you get back in line for like another hour, and then just before you go into the theater, or no, then they get everybody into the theater, and then they take everybody out to the bathroom again. It's like a 3-hour process.
Yeah.
Then once we're all sat down, this comedian, Paul Mercurio, comes out, and he's warming up the crowd. He's warming up the crowd. You know, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh. And at one point he said something and everyone laughed. And then as the laughter died down, I went, ha, ha, ha. He goes, so you don't have to be a dick about it. And then when he started calling people, like he calls audience members up on stage, he's like, yeah, you two, come on. So I go up there and then he's like, who you with? And I'm like, my girlfriend. He's like, get her up here. So then she comes up. She's like walking up on the stage. People are cheering for her. So now we're standing on the stage at the Ed Sullivan Theater on the Late Night with Stephen Colbert set. He's on the other end of the line of people talking to them. And I'm trying to like get a look at behind Stephen Colbert's desk. I'm like going like this, you know?
Yeah.
Next thing I hear is, sir. And I look and like that got a huge laugh.
And let me tell you, it was before that happened, before I got up on stage. And
Oh, did it?
yeah, because I was in the audience watching you move towards the desk, looking behind it.
I almost like just
Everyone
ran.
around me, like the entire audience, was just watching Matt edging towards the desk.
I did
Like,
it for a
what is he
laugh.
gonna do?
I knew I would get a laugh.
That was pretty funny.
So then he's like, you know, he's like, what's your name? And I said, Matt. And you're Paul Mercurio, right? And he's like, I said, no, seriously, I'm a huge fan. He's like, you are? I said, no, I never heard of you before tonight. That got a huge laugh. Then he took our picture and we followed him on social media and we went and sat back in the audience, and it was amazing. It really was. It's as close to sitting in that chair and being interviewed by Stephen Colbert as I'll ever get now.
That's great. Yeah, I never went to see his show, but I did go there when David Letterman was at the Ed Sullivan Theater. So I saw David Letterman's show twice. Question, was the theater extremely cold like it was?
I mean, it was February, so it was cold no matter what.
Okay, because one of the reasons I said that, because I guess Letterman is known for keeping it very, very cold. And he goes, if I keep it warm, the audience is going to fall asleep. But it's just, I remember I went in the summer and people were complaining about, making jokes about how cold it was and everything. But it was, I love that theater and I love that story. That is great.
You know, the same thing happened to us actually when we went to the award screening for Providence, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
We were in that theater for about 4 hours, and it's summertime. We're like in short sleeves and shorts and stuff. And after like 2 hours, we were like, God damn, it's freezing in here.
You know, and I never realized the reason that they do that, but now I know it's like, because they're like one of the talk shows, I think it was Letterman, then Bill Maher made a comment too. He said, if we keep it warm here, the audience is going to be like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Well, it was so great talking to you two.
Hey man, this has been awesome.
I love it, and you guys have carte blanche. Come back on the show anytime you want. But before we go, and we give some plugs, is there anything that I did not mention that you want to talk about?
Well, we got the 48 coming up, and
the
then
Horror
if anybody,
48.
the Horror 48,
Yep.
and
Libra Tiger Pictures.
if people would like to offer up some place that they have,
Cool
that
location
would be a
we can
cool
shoot at.
location, that would be awesome.
Stay tuned for more Matt and Rayah
Yeah.
Libra Tiger Pictures.
Libra Tiger Pictures on YouTube. You can look it up. Add the pictures when you do it. Libra Tiger, add pictures so that you find us and not some of the other Libras that are out there.
Yeah, there are a few.
Yeah, check out some of our
And Rich,
our
we
videos.
love working with you, and we're very excited to work with you
Yes,
again.
really
and
looking forward to doing this again.
yeah, without a doubt. Thank you so much. It just means so much to us.
Well, you know what? I have to thank you because I've had so much fun just the two, and I can't wait to do more. And I said the atmosphere that you create there for everybody just makes it one great time, and the work that you put out there is phenomenal. And I really mean that. And I'm so glad that Nathan introduced me to you two, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to be in a couple of your movies, and as many more as you want me to. I will be there.
You're on
Great.
speed dial.
All right.
Thanks,
So,
Rich.
one last thing before, if people, because you mentioned if anybody has a location, because the movie, this will be out before you start filming. where can people reach you if they have a good location for the movie that's coming up in October, the filming?
They can find me on Facebook. It's just under my name, Rayah Martin.
We're both friends with you on Facebook, so
Yeah,
if you know
if they
you.
want to reach out to you, that's
Yep.
fine too. You can get them in touch with us. I'm also on Instagram as Heya Rayah. It's HeyARayah.
Okay.
They can message me there if they're not on Facebook. Yeah.
All right. Well, Matt, Ray, keep up the great work. I look forward to working on the horror movie in a couple months, and I look forward to all the different things that you're going to be doing and coming out with.
Excellent.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
That wraps up the latest episode of the Claus Corner. A huge thanks goes out to guest writer, actor, and editor Matt Stevens, as well as writer, director, and actress Rayah and Matt for taking time out of their extremely busy schedule to be a guest on my show. Thank you very much. I also need to thank editor extraordinaire John Bristol, the award-winning Elmwood Productions, for always doing a superb job editing this show each and every week and making it available to all on YouTube. I am also extremely grateful to Rob Bull and Al Coles for all they do to make my show available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, as well as a cable station in Connecticut. And lastly, but definitely not least, I need to thank you, the viewer, for always tuning in. Enjoy your day, everyone.